My entire family is racially diverse, and I believe the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. That's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you.
Republican Party, yeah, we got a little problem here. All right. So Amber Rose, you saw her in the intro. She stated something that I personally agree with, right? I believe that the Republican Party can become a party of America, the party of patriotism. But right now, it's dominated by a certain group of people, a certain voting bloc that feel like their position in that party is threatened by what's coming into the party. I mention it openly. I'm part of the new right. I'm the American first nationalist. That's the temperament. That's the faction within the Republican Party that I align myself with. The Tucker Carlson type, right? The J.D. Vance Vivek type. And one of the things I noticed as being part of an ideological difference from the Reaganites, the old school traditional conservatives, like how Ben Shapiro is, right? The globalist, interventionist style type conservatives. I noticed one thing is that this outrage, some people, like many people on the left, they're like, where are all the brown people at? Look, you racist. If you want to find the brown people, you should have went there, but you didn't. Instead, you went on a still photo and said, where are all the brown people at? Where you got Christians, the conservative Christians right now in the conservative party that feel like their position is being threatened because more different types of voters of a different ideology, different values, different religions is coming into the party. And you're trying to still paint this narrative that the Republican Party is racist. The Republican Party is not racist. But the Republican Party do have an image problem. Carter Family, which is a prominent reaction channel, they recently are part of this new fraction that is more open to voting Republican, all that. They're more moderate in my view. They're not really conservative like I am. If I debate them, they're probably be more moderate than I am. I'm much more conservative. Because this is where I believe I can be. I understand what many of the evangelical Christian conservatives are talking about, right? I can frame this in an example, and then we'll go more into her speech, which was a good speech. I agree with the speech, and some of Matt Walsh's criticism is Matt Walsh represents the threatened bloc. Because right now, Matt Walsh, the Republican Party right now, is majority agree with Matt Walsh's kind of stance on things. Is that, hey, there's a certain view we have there's certain values we espouse here. We're glad that Amber Rose dressed more modestly, but given her past, we don't want the Republican Party to be seen in a certain light. I understand that, right? The RNC gave a primetime speaking slot to a pro-abortion feminist, which goes against many of what the Republican Party is against. And a lot of pro-lifers are also mad about the platform stance that the Republican Party is taking. And I can understand that. I can understand that you don't want you compromise your principles just to appease somebody. It's like a girl changing herself just to win the affections of a guy. Many women will say you shouldn't be able to do that. You should meet someone where y'all both equally or more ideologically aligned somewhere in the middle, right? But you don't want to have to conform yourself to someone else. And I understand, but it's a give and take. You want their vote, then you have to make some concessions. And this is why we're running into this problem with big tent conservatism. Now, big tent conservatism has been something that the Republican Party has been fighting against for a long time, since Donald Trump took over the Republican Party. Because Donald Trump is more liberal. Yes, the mainstream media, Donald Trump is not a far-right guy. He is one of the most moderate Republican presidents that we'll ever have in the Republican Party, in my view anyway. Maybe I could be wrong about that. But Donald Trump, I admitted it. I remember on one of these videos, I admitted it, that Donald Trump is essentially a 1995 Democrat. Tell me I'm lying in the comment section. I'll wait. I'll wait. Now it's my turn to disagree with a lot of the Republicans. I believe this is lame. I believe that big tent conservatism is the only way that the Republican Party can still survive. And big tent conservatism doesn't mean that you change what the Republican Party was about. You don't have to go against your traditions. But the claim for me, and this is how I see big tent conservatism is about bringing in a new fraction into the fold, into your alliance, right? I see inviting Amber Rose as the equivalency of adding a new country into the United States of America. We're going to add a 51st state. And yes, the 51st state coming in does not share the same values as us, does not share the same traditions as us, does not have the same worldview as us. But we have some common interests that we want to align on and stand together. Hey, I want to be protected by this, and we're stronger together than apart. This is my opinion about big tent conservatism, and I believe the orientation of the Republican Party should not be about appeasing their biggest voting bloc, which is what it has become, because that's how the Democrats became so left wing. They started appeasing a bigger and bigger voting bloc of of far left, of progressives, Marxists, socialists, all these people who have taken over the Democratic Party, and they pushed out all the liberals and the sensible people into the Republican Party. Now, my argument here is it should be based on nationalism. Hey, we want America to be the best place ever. We want America to remain the land of opportunity, where you can have different views from me, and that should be the common interest of the Republican Party, which is what Donald Trump is bringing in. This is what American First is about. But I think all these ideological squabbles is distracting from the point. Tristan Tate, I hear you, Matt, but she is also an American, which is true. An American who has followed, speak to many other Americans who won't listen to a man like you or me. Let her talk to her people on behalf of what is right. We can dislike some of her values, but all in all, let her talk to her people on her behalf of what is right. We can dislike some of her values, but all Americans need to make right choices this year, which is what I agree. It's a more pragmatic choice. And this is the problem with the conservative platform for a long time. There needs to be a give and take. That's where I will frame it, right? I understand the idea that you don't want to change for someone. Like, I don't want to date someone who wants me to change everything about myself. Oh, I don't like your style. You got to dress like this to attract me. You got to have this amount. It's the same idea. You don't want to change yourself just to be with somebody, but in some way you have to orient yourself to be desirable to that other person. And in some ways you have to make a compromise here. And this is the coalition building that I'm talking about. I'm talking about from a more pragmatic standpoint. If we're going to win this election, it's going to be with the help of people who realize they were lied to in 2016 and 2020. Different backgrounds, cultures, and religion. If you support Trump and defend the Constitution, that's what matters. Don't act like some biatches when these new people join our side. We're going to win. And that's what we're talking about. Conservatives are so used to it, right? And this is the group that I'm talking about. John Root, prayers to a false god at the RNC after slut walk founder and pro-abortion model Amber Rose spoke. Well done, Republican Party. It's the same. Here's an equal example, because right now the Democrats are pouncing on this, saying, trying to paint the Republican Party as being intolerant. Here's the difference. Let's rewind the same example for the Democratic Party. It will be as if a pro-life person went to the Democratic Party and spoke about how they need to embrace more pro-life issues. They need to understand the ethics around abortion, how possibly they're killing a human life, and doesn't human life deserve human rights? Democratic Party used to be the party that stuck up for the little guy. And who's more of a little guy than an unborn baby who cannot defend itself? That is the equivalent. That's the equivalent of Amber Rose speaking at the Republican Party. Democrats, am I lying? If Democrats allowed in their convention a pro-life activist, founder of Leila Rose, it's like Layla Rose, talk at the DNC convention. This is what happened at the Republican Party, because most of the coalition in the Democratic Party are what? Pro-abortion. This is the same issue that's going on in the Republican Party. Their coalition is mostly the largest coalition in the Republican Party are evangelical Christians. That's the largest voting bloc. And you bring in people who believe in things that's contrary to their beliefs. And they have the biggest impact on your party. That's the equivalent of what happened last night at the RNC. But the left is going to try to transition this into something being racial. It's not racial. It's purely ideological. Right? Joel Berry, conservative evangelicals are the strongest, most reliable Republican voting bloc, and the RNC should note that they can only be alienated so much before they start to walk away. Wouldn't pro-abortion people feel the same way if Democrats started to try to court the pro-life vote? And this is what the Republican Party is going through right now, because that's the only path forward. The Republican Party must be a big tent party. You must have different fractions within it, and our common interest must be the best interest of America. Policies that we agree on, policies that, hey, the Republican solution gives the best outcome for all Americans in this land. That's our common interest. Making America great again, right? That's the interest. America first. Hey, we should care about our priorities first before we care about foreign affairs outside of our borders. We should care about everyone's interest in here. Illegal immigration harms that interest that we all share. Find a common interest. The common interest is America. Hey, you want this to remain the best country ever, right? You want this to remain the land of opportunity, right? The policies that the Democrats are pushing are hurting that outcome. It's making it harder to make a living here in America with inflation. It's making it unsafe to be in this nation because of the fact that they're importing a lot of illegals who happen to be criminals from Venezuela, right? They take jobs, opportunities away from all of us within this tent. And we must secure the border. That's how I see it. I see this as a coalition. We're trying to build a coalition here. So when you build a coalition, the person you're building a coalition with not necessarily going to see the world the same way you will. And I understand the evangelicals. They say, hey, we want our voice represented as well. And they feel like the party is catering too much to voters that have not shown a proven track record of supporting the Republican Party. And I understand that. It's the same way as if the Democrats decided to only focus on non-black voters, and the black vote say, hey, we're the most loyal voter, we're your most loyal constituency, and you have not represented us on stage, you have not put speakers that we believe in. I understand that. And I think the Republican Party should do a better job at acknowledging and respecting the evangelicals more on their platform. I agree. Right? But also I don't agree with the backlashing and the finger pointing and saying we don't want these kind of people in here, because you don't want to you're pushing these people away. It's a balance, right? Moderation in all things. That's the message I'm putting here. Moderation in, hey, respecting the evangelical vote. Make sure their voices are represented. Make sure pro-lifers are represented in the Republican Party. But at the same time, being more open to other people of different values, the unions, right? They're still mad that Mitch McConnell got booed, but hey, we're in new times now. And recognizing that we're going through a political realignment, and we will benefit having more people, more fractions within the conservative party. That's all I'm trying to say with this message. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that American First is technically a big tent conservative ideal? Or you disagree with me? You believe no, we should make them conform to us, not us conforming to them. Or you're more like me. It's half and half. We're in the middle. There's some give and take here. We should be building alliances, not enemies. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be interested to hear what your guys' thoughts and perspective is on this matter. Thanks for all watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.